Hi, good morning, everybody, all CyberSangha members, Facebook Live friends. Sorry for a little delay today, but it's worth waiting. We have a very talented musicians from Tibet, and I will not spend too much time explaining so we can enjoy all their talent right away. So I'm very, very happy to have Tenzin Choegyal here from Australia here. I think it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. They are very late. So thank you so much for staying up late. And we have Tenzin Kunsel here from Bay Area in my neighborhood here. And Techung from East Coast. I think not in New York, right? You are in New York or?
State New York.
State, New York State. So welcome all of you. So today, what we're going to do is first, Tenzin Choegyal will be joining us, but we will play his YouTube, one of beautiful music from his YouTube, and then I'm going to ask a few questions to each of the artists here. So I will have a little conversation, and Tenzin Choegyal will not able to perform from Australia. It's very late, and he will be waking up all his family, which wanted to keep good relationship with everybody. So we don't want to do that. And but Tenzin Kunsel and Techung will both will be also doing live performances. The Loden La that we have announced there, he is not able to join because of some previous engagements. So we sorry for that, but next time we will have him back here. So thank you very much. So first, Tenzin Choegyal, we have all their biographies and all their pictures on cybersangha.net. So please join. Tenzin Choegyal is very well-known musician, artist, activist, performing all around the world. In fact, first time I met him was in Berlin. We were there visit his beautiful performances on the Pardo. And I think in 2019, he did receive the Smithsonian Institute's award, song from the Pardo. And so welcome. So Anya, please go ahead and play Tenzin Choegyal's YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Namla labanyamda. Ani tem labanyamdo. Ani goetela. Estevola. Ani dila. Ningan.
You can watch the smile, beautiful smiles of all these kids. So cute. So thank you so much. It's so beautiful. And so I wanted to follow up with the Tenzin Choegyal a few questions that I was going to ask each of our artists here. Always curious about, the evolution of in one's life, how one get involved in certain things. I mean, we all, first time connected with the teaching or the meditation or Dharma or whatever is some very interesting deep stories. So my first question is, what was your very first contact with the music that really awoke something in you? Something, what do you remember your first time when you hear music, when you're thinking about music, that something moved in you, and then that was the first beginning of your journey?
Tashidele Rinpoche, I can't see myself, but that's okay. To answer the question, Rinpoche's question, I think my first probably encounter with being able to, I think it would be more of my mother's murmuring chants early in the morning, 4 in the morning, around 4 in the morning, like doing her chores and probably chanting away so early in the morning. And I'm still in my probably like half dream state, half awake, and hearing her chant. Probably that's my first encounter with kind of the what we call music or chant or sounds that you get, that sometimes these days when I look back and think about music, then that comes in my mind. And then also my father's flute playing. My father probably he was a Pumpo man, and his name is very like unfamiliar, like unusual for a lot of the Tibetans. His name was Kyung Duk. Kyung meaning the Garuda and Duk meaning the dragon. And so very unusual name for Tibetans. I don't hear that many of these names these days. So he used to love having his little chang in the evenings and then play flute. So probably that sound, flute sound. And then these days when I play flute, I actually try to, because of living so, like he left us probably when I was a toddler, like not totally toddler, around maybe 4 or 5. So I don't really remember his face, but I remember his long hair and the red tassel and playing flute. So sometimes when I play flute, I close my eyes and try to visualize his face, but only the long hair, and he's drinking tongpa, the millet, the fermented millet with hot water, and playing a flute. Those visions comes in my mind, but his face always kind of in a way feels like a moon, because there's like no, it's like it doesn't appear to me, if it makes sense. And yeah, so these were the sounds, particular sounds that I initially probably like. And so I would pay homage to my parents for bringing me up in these sounds.
Wonderful. And so follow-up question, second question, as a performer, can you give an example of the time when you felt particularly deep sense of gratitude, worthiness, or sense of your place in the world of music and art? So when was in some way in your journey when you felt like, here I'm in the right place, doing the right thing, I feel good?
There were many moments like that, like momentary sparks that happens to you. There were many moments like that, but particularly I think it was when I think it was 97, around 97, when I was in Australia, and then I got an opportunity to play for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And since then I've been like when His Holiness comes around Australia, then visits Australia, I get to open his public talks with songs. And at that point, there was this, like, there was quite close, and then there was some, I don't know, it's kind of indescribable moment. And so I think that was one, like, when you get to offer the dearest thing that you do, when you get to offer that to your guru or your yidam or your guru, then that's, I think, like, there was that moment. And then another time that I had similar moment, but I wasn't playing to anyone. I was traveling to Mustang about 21 days just by myself, and with a mule, and I would sing along the way, and the mule had a bell, like there was this bell ringing each time, and the spaciousness of the land and the sound of the bell from the mule and my own singing, it put me into a kind of like a trance. Like at one point, there was a momentary time where I felt like I understand what is it all about. And then now and these days when I try to find that moment, it never comes, but that moment. And then there were many occasions, I guess, like there's not one particular occasion. I think it's like a bubble in the stream.
Wonderful.
There's many of those occasions.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing your experience. So I think I'm going to move to next artist, Tenzin Kunsel. Tenzin Kunsel is one young, beautiful, loved by so many people, particularly many younger generation. Also, and in many different areas, very devotional songs to modern, traditional, and of course, so much things in front of her life. So welcome. Really appreciate your being here. So Anya, can you please play Tenzin Kunsel's tape first, and hopefully the sound will be better.
Lani mi chura wa me ba sho so kyam ge
Wow, picture, beautiful, beautiful. Very, you feel the tears of all these people and very moving, heartfelt. Thank you so much. So Tenzin Kunsel also, performed in a very early age, like it says here, 11 at age of 11, and Medicine Square Garden, and also, Carnegie Hall, and also even she was described with describes Times, New York Times, describing as her voice, a clear voice, symbol of Tibetan tenacity, right? So and performing all over the world also, and loved by so many people. So again, the same. So I wanted to ask you the same question as earlier. So what was your very first contact with the music that really wake you up, something in you contact?
I think for me, more so than like singing, I was initially introduced to music through dance. When I was 5, I was performing like within my school in India. We were traveling all over the place and like dancing and singing to Tibetan music. I don't think that I was much of a. I wouldn't say I was a singer back then. I don't think I was particularly good or anything. I think that came. I did. I think I had music in me. You know, simple things like rhythm and like tone and things of that nature, but not so much in terms of singing skills. I enjoyed listening to music, but mainly I was very fond of dancing, and of course, like performing was really fun. I just loved performing. So yeah, I would get all the neighborhood kids together and like, you know, choreograph some stuff. It could be anything from like Tibetan to like Bollywood, whatever it was. And then I would put on these like tiny little shows on my alleyway and like have all the older folks kind of like gather around and sit around, and then I would have me and my friends like perform. And I was also very competitive, so I would actually like form like multiple groups and have us all compete amongst each other. um so yeah, I think I think just vocal music is kind of like cutting it short. I think I was always I mean, art has always been a way that I express myself, and it's something that I've had since I can remember. So
Wonderful. Yeah, also, Tenzin Kunsel, you do sing in Hindi and
yeah.
English also, right?
Yeah. And actually, I was also trained in like Western classical music, so I also sing Italian, German, French, and obviously, yeah, English classical as well.
We'll make you sing in German next.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so the second question is, as a performer, can you give an example of a time when you felt particularly deep sense of gratitude, worthiness, or sense of your place in the world of music and art?
I think in general, as a musician, I'm sure the other musicians feel that way as well, and I'm sure Rinpoche, you feel that way as well when you give talks. I think music is a way that connects people, and like even people that don't really quite understand what you're singing about, the language that you sing in. I think because it's a connection. I think every single time that I like perform. Um, I feel a sense of gratitude. I feel a sense of power. Um, More so than when I'm like speaking, I just feel like to have music, it's like, and you can speak to thousands of people all at once. And somehow you're able to like generate this energy and communicate this energy. I think every time I feel very grateful. But in one particular, I guess one particular instance where I felt almost a high was like when I was 11 and I performed for the Dalai Lama. I mean, the song that we just played was actually the first song that I performed ever. I think I was 9 at the time. And then when His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, uh, visited New York in 2005, I got the opportunity to sing for him, and this was the song that I sang for him. And the song has a particular like space in my heart. I get very emotional every time I sing it. Uh, um, and so yeah, that time was very intense, especially because like I was 11, and you know, when you're 11 and you've been raised as Tibetan, you almost have like this godlike idea of the Dalai Lama. He feels so distant and far, yet so close and near. um, and so to have some like, you know, to have His Holiness like right in front of you, just feet away from you, and you're singing to this person that you've like worshipped um all your 11 years of life. It's a bit intense, and I think that was actually the first time I'd ever felt nervous performing. Up until then, I was like so comfortable being on stage, just entertaining everyone, doing whatever I needed to get all the attention. But yeah, in that very instance, it was just very surreal. I was kind of shaken, and I felt what people feel when they get on stage, you know, the anxiety and the nervousness for the first time. That and yeah, I think that was like one particular moment that I could
Good.
recall.
Wonderful. So, well, we are very excited to hear you sing something for us live. So I think everybody, and also a lot of people saying hello to all of you. So on a chart box here. So
Okay. Oh, speaking of gratitude, I think I will sing a song that was in my album that was released, I think, 2016. 2016. Was it 2000? I don't remember my own bio really. This was in my album called Kunsel. It was a self-titled album. But the song is called Amala, which means like mother. Another person that I'm very grateful for. Yeah, so I don't have any like instruments with me, so I think I'll just do this a cappella. I give you the full glory of my vocal talent. Okay. Ngalalamte nangke misedrumi kerai yarab chulu lapke gege thangbo amai shimga khase deke jinje ama kerai kunje changma yoke ngai den san kerai amala ka amala kuchere amala katinche amala kuchere. That's all.
thank you so much. So our next artist, yeah, we're really happy to have is Techung La. So Techung La is very well known in Tibetan community, in exile in Tibet. He's a singer, writer, performer, lives in New York State, and also lifelong dedicated to preservation of Tibetan culture, tradition, particularly related with the music, and a co-founder of San Francisco-based Jakzamba Tibetan Dance and Opera Company in 1989. And of course, he also travels around the world and performing. So we are really happy to have you here, Techung La. Welcome. And so we wanted to go ahead and play same way, like first his YouTube, and then we will have a little conversation here. Thank you. Wonderful, thank you. Was beautiful. So just wanted to let all the audience know that all the three artists here, their more detailed bio and their work and their contact individually, if you wanted to contact their Facebook, and informations are on cybersangha.net. So please welcome to visit there and get more information if you want to get in touch with them. Also here on the chat, you can always leave a message. So yeah, so Techung La, thank you. And so my same question to you. What was your first contact with the music that really wake you and make your connection, show your direction of in life?
Well, Rinpoche, to start with, my story is a little bit different. I was kind of like a little monk that has been dropped in a monastery, and then he would kind of gradually, study the things and then kind of get more familiar and things like that. So when I was young age, at the age of 9, my parents were all coming into exile in India, and they literally dropped me in the Tibetan Performing Arts School in Dharamsala. And did I have any talent or any interest or no, I didn't have nothing actually. So they just dropped me there. And it took me a long time to understand and love the music and the traditional arts that I have been. But basically, I was a really good student. I really respected the teachers and elder teachers and all of that. Music grew in me since I came to America almost 30 years ago. And I was involved in a lot of other things. Something that I was carrying in within me, which I didn't recognize at those days. But after I came here, I really kind of get more closer and closer, and so I dedicated myself to traditional music. And for me, it's just the sound that just took a long time to hit me, but once it hit you, it sort of doesn't leave me. I think it just wants to do something to me, and also, and I hope that that's how I feel when I play, that somebody will feel the same energy from ancient sounds and sounds and ideas and the beings and everything. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, I guess all our life are like that. I guess a question about where parents drop you, right? The right place dropped. I feel the same thing, like everything I do in my life as a teacher, teaching Dharma and everything, no clue, no idea. That was not something that I have intention or planning. Parents just dropped me in the monastery. I was a good place to be dropped. And then slowly, you learn what you learn and you grow up, and then you come to the West, and then suddenly you realize something that you can do and serve and help. Well, so I think a beautiful, similar story. So dropping a right place. Okay, so the second question, as a performer, can you give an example of a time when you felt a particularly deep sense of gratitude, worthiness, sense of your place in the world of music and art? So when was, and I think Tenzin Kunsel and Tenzin Choegyal all said, probably all feel, everybody feels the same way, no matter what field you in that different time you feel that, right? So when was your moment?
Well, Rinpoche, I had this moment when the first Tibetan Freedom Concert happened in 1996, and I was kind of involved in the organizing the Tibetan Freedom Concert, and of course that was initiated by Beastie Boys and a group of volunteers and friends. It was a huge concert for Tibet, and at that moment, until then, I had this in the Tibetan society, just like other societies, the artists and musics are kind of in the lowest realm, lowest level of our society in the hierarchy. And that spirit of kind of uplifting that spirit for the Tibetan musicians or artists, that is in me. I just always felt that that's my responsibility somehow, I'll have to do that. And when I was participating and also going on stage with the Tibetan Freedom Concert, and how much the audience, showed love to the bands of all kinds of bands, Beastie Boys and all Foo Fighters and all the rock bands and all. And I get so energized at that time in 1996, and just gave me so much energy. And I was like, oh, even though I'm not a rock musician, but I'm a traditional musician, but going on that stage and looking at all the audience and that power of being on that stage, it really inspired me. But I am a different kind of musician, and whatever we did on that stage was very traditional. It didn't sound good, but just that it's part of the whole kind of thing to inspire and make people happy and make people realize their kind of being, joyfulness and things like that. That was one. And then as an artist, I think we all have to struggle in making whatever we believe. And I think that I have to recommit myself to, so I had these projects of, recordings and things like that. So, and then I would also like to share that one time, I think 1990-ish, somewhere there was a Chaksampa. We were in a group in San Francisco. We were small, sometimes we have only 2 members. Until then, we were performing in mainly like Western audience for a long time. And then we had one opportunity to go to Switzerland to perform to the Tibetan community. And I was like the most nervous that day of kind of performing to the Tibetan community, because that still is the case until now. Our own audiences is the most critical, and they'll not listen, and they'll just, you know, get distracted and not pay attention. And I got very, and that's one moment where I kind of feel something is there, you know. Sometimes it's easier to audience who doesn't know anything about Tibet, but when you have to perform to your own community. But anyway, I'm getting used to it, and those are the kind of moments now.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure other countries, other nations are like that or not. Somehow our Tibetan community, as they're so beautiful and wonderful, but they definitely same thing. Sometimes they're very critical of our own people, and you know, even I do teachings on Facebook Live, there are some people I've never, probably they don't know me or anything, make a strange comment or something like I teach in English, and because of 90% of the audience are English speaking or not Tibetan, they said, "Do you know how to speak Tibetan? Why you don't speak Tibetan?" You know, like a very negative comments or something like that. So I think it's important thing we get used to those things and not feel like your brother or your sister complaining about you don't pay too much attention. So
I think it lets you grow tougher skin.
tougher skin, exactly.
Don't let it break you. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and you know, but every now and then you do feel like, why they have to say that, or they don't even know me or know you or whatever. But definitely I think brothers and sisters saying something. so the last question here I want to ask to you, all of you, and then each one you can answer, who wanted to answer this question, but I would like to hear from all of you, is what is your dream for the future? I wanted to ask you this also because there's a lot of people listening right now here, and there are a lot of people will be listening continuously, and there are a lot of also musicians and artists from all over the world, and they might wanted to connect you, they wanted to collaborate with you, they wanted to learn more about you, whatever. What is your dream of the future? What you're trying to do, what you've been trying to do, what are the challenges, what are you trying to do, what kind of help that you are seeking? Yeah, so I think maybe your future, I think. Welcome anybody. Maybe you go ahead.
Well, Rinpoche, I, as a musician and as somebody who's carrying the kind of the sounds and the stories and the messages of our ancient culture, I just personally feel that we should have as many artists in different fields and different, you know, genres and new and old. But I really feel that we just have to have some sense of our base, some sense of root, some sense of, you know, that I don't mean to going to a school or anything like that, but, you know, your father, mother, your community's way of singing, Tibetan singing. The challenge that we have is like, we are just so much influenced, just like any other small community, I think, wherever they are, we're just so bombarded with so many, you know, beautiful and crazy music, you know, and but in between, we, like, from my own experience, we grew up in India, we were so bombarded with Indian music and this and that. We just think that we have no music. I have met some young Tibetans, and do Tibetans have any music? You know, that kind of comment, whereas thousands of years, you know, we had beautiful songs from all parts of regions of Tibet. And these songs are not, that's where my energy is right now. From what I have learned, I wanted to record them and I wanted to kind of preserve them. And then that can be the foundation for any younger generation to explore like any new things. And, you know, but, you know, the music is kind of sacred, as I really feel that, you know, because share an art form that is very genuine, very sincerely belonging to our own heart and our own minds and things like that. I just feel that that having that sense of, is very important. And so that's what I feel like instilling. And I have been doing a recording project and was pretty successful in my fundraisings, which I learned here. I was a good performer from India, but I've never learned how to survive as an artist. And that's where I picked up things here. And so that's my kind of energy right now. And at the same time, I have written few albums of contemporary music, and some of them are well loved by the community. And I still want to hone into that kind of energy and come up with something that will be, tradition in next generation. It could be left as a tradition for next generation. So those are my two. And I just feel that at the moment, the community is very empowered by music that are coming from Tibet. And there's so much energy in Tibet in the music. It's quite amazing. And so it's a very good time at the moment.
Wonderful. Yeah. So basically what you're saying is you wanted to preserve the tradition and the old tradition of music of old tradition, but at the same time you wanted to evolve into new, creating a more creativity in the modernized also. Yeah, I definitely agree on, like some traditional music, sometimes maybe not that much place, as you said, younger generation, they don't really understand, they don't hear it so much, they don't read it so much, so they don't think it's something that exists. So that means there's a danger of losing it. So archiving, I think, is a great idea, because same thing in the Dharma also. You have to, there are very, very specific rituals, traditions. Not everybody is interested, but it got to be preserved. How you preserve? Well, ancient time, they're taught to one to another, generation to generation to generation. The people keep it in their heart and their mind. Now, if they don't, the younger generation don't want to learn, where you keep it? You keep it online, in cloud. You have to keep it somewhere, but in the future, somebody can open those iClouds, right? Great. So, the third question, Tenzin Kunsel, what is your dream for the future?
Oh man, the future, so vast, open space. I mean, I have many goals for the futures, but I guess in terms of music, uh, in terms of, I guess, Tibetan music, I would like, so far a lot of my albums have been collaborative work, but in a strange way. It's like, it's partitioned in a sense that, you have a lyricist, then you have someone that kind of creates the melody, and quite frankly, like, I feel like I only really provided the voice for it. um, um, and of course, like, throughout the process, I do make decisions, I say yes and no to many things, but it hasn't been as collaborative as, I guess, um, um, I would like it to be. So I think, but I think part of it has to do with the fact that, like, unlike everyone here, like, I started, um, like, putting out stuff, into the Tibetan community at such a young age. And at that time, I, I depended on adults around me to sort of, like, package things together very nicely for me. And I think that's actually, I mean, I'm grateful, like, it got me this far, but I think in one sense, it also limited me quite a lot in terms of creativity. When you're, like, spoon fed everything, you kind of, you kind of, um, uh, yeah, lose that. It's not to say that I didn't work hard. Of course, I worked very, very hard. But yeah, in terms of creativity, I feel like, I was kind of like boxed in this little box. And so I think, for the last, like, few years, I've started to, um, try to be more comfortable being creative, um, and sharing my poems. I mean, I'm just writing, like, poems here and there. I still don't feel very comfortable with, like, creating and, like, putting a whole thing packaged together for people to listen to and hear. However, I think, another thing is, because I left India when I was 9. So I left, like, Tibetan school when I was 9. I have, like, a third grade level understanding of Tibetan. both writing and reading. I think in terms of speaking, I'm quite comfortable. I worked on it enough, and so I think for the next year or two, my goal is to actually become better in Tibetan writing and reading, and I think that in itself would kind of like unleash me, and like it would help me become more creative and more comfortable with my own language. Um, and yeah, so I'm hoping in due time. I don't really know how long it's going to take, but in due time I hope to create an album that really truly is collaborative in all and every way possible. And of course, like I till I was about 9, I was in the Tibetan community in India. Then I moved to New York, that I went to college. I've been immersed in so many different cultures, and I keep returning to India. And I love like world music. I've studied so many different types of music, and like it's all part of me. And like I've said before, like music is music is universal. So and with that, uh, I think I would like to like incorporate all these various types of instruments and stylistic choices that I am, inspired by, and like kind of maybe, yeah, create something that's more like fusion and kind of encompasses like all that I am, which is like a mixture of a melting pot of different cultures and communities. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yes, definitely. Music is universal, and I think that's something that everybody can feel in the heart. So it's a wonderful way of connecting with everybody. So Tenzin Choegyal, if you're not following sleep, what, what's
Yeah,
your dream in the future?
I'm not fallen asleep yet.
Okay, we'll keep you alive.
um,
So afterward, Techung is going to do a perform. So we are looking forward, waiting for that. So meanwhile, please go ahead.
so thank you very much for having me, Rinpoche. And I think for me, and I, for me, music is like a drifting cloud, where it doesn't bother about the borders that we human have created. So in a way, it speaks to every being, even animals. And but at the same time, I think as an artist, as a practicing artist in the field of music, I think it is super important to be reinventing yourself at the same time. But at the same time, you keep the essence of where your lineage is, but move forward. Because it's about actually telling your story at the same time, telling the story of the community that you live with. And how can we, like, it is super important to preserve the ancient tradition. At the same time, how about telling the story of now through music? And so it is like, that's why I'm super involved with collaborating with many different genres. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I collaborate with contemporary dancers, occasionally with orchestras, and occasionally with Indian classical musicians. So, and then with my Tibetan friends, like the Tibetan poets, they write, like I write music, and then they read the contemporary poems that they have written now. And because, like, when my brother is a TIPA, what is that, member? Like
Good bread.
he was a TIPA instructor. So I have always a big arguments with him about preserving and making it as a museum piece, or are you going to move it forward bring it into the
Yeah.
format of like telling the story of, are we going to give enough time and space for the people who are living now
Yeah.
and tell their story as well? Because
You're gonna be having the same argument with your brother from now on.
yeah, because the music actually tells music can actually music if you analyze music, music can tell the story of it can make a chronology of your whole life. Like when you were born, what you have been listening to, when you were in primary school, what you have been listening to, when you were in senior, or what you're now, like what you're listening to now. So, you know, like it can chronology, like, so, and then my dream would be to make a super beautiful theatrical piece, a
Oh, wow.
musical, Tibetan musical piece,
Oh, that's so cool.
which can be like elaborately, like that's one vision that I have, is I kind of wanted a huge tanka on the stage where all the characters are sitting in the tanka and then slowly becoming live, and musically it's brought into life.
That's so cool.
That's my, I don't know where it will happen, but it has happened in my dream. So physically, I don't know whether it will happen, but there is this vision of like an image that I want have in my head is the full stage is a tanka, and then on each place is like the lotus or the where the characters should be sitting, like in the tanka, it's placed there, and the narrator comes out and starts singing, and then brings the each characters to life, and then they start like something like that would be super beautiful. But anyway, it's a dream. Rinpoche, you asked about a dream, so that's my dream.
Wonderful. That's a wonderful dream. Yeah, I really like the idea. I guess, you know, like life is generally, it's evolving like that. It's not, you know, it's just social, cultural anthropology, you know, like it's evolving all the time. So either it's a religion, it's the music, it's a cultural, it's a food, anything, it's always evolving. So then when it's evolving, always is a question of life is here. So so I think it's evolving, and it's always a struggle. I mean, even in a Dharma is the same thing, that you have to preserve the tradition, but you have to communicate with the modern people, and you have to communicate in a way that people will understand. So understand means people change, you change, we evolve collectively together, everybody. So it's not like one or the other. I guess what I'm trying to say here is I believe it's not one or the other. Preserving the ancient tradition is very important, but allowing full freedom of your own evolving creativity in your own expression, respecting your own expression, because that is also true, how you express it in your own way. Because if you think about love, each religion might have a very specific philosophical description about what it means, who should be loved, what that means, and so on and so on. But then there is a love doesn't belong to any religion, doesn't belong to any philosophy. It's just somehow, it's something becomes very alive in every sentient being, I guess, more inhuman. So, and then you have to find a way to express. You cannot say, you cannot express love this way because my religion says you have to do only prostration or something. Not like that. You can express whatever way you want to express. No, so that sense of freedom, but also value in preserving the ancient tradition, because ancient tradition for thousands of years down, they're coming very specific, very unique way of expressing things. I think those are very valuable. And I think we all struggle with that. I think everybody struggles with that. So as Techung said, I mean, I struggle that, you know, like we're trying to teach, trying to create the things where hardly less and less people follow those things. Then how are we going to preserve? So then we're trying to record more and more and trying to put an archiving of more and more. And that's one way to do it. I think I strongly support Techung his work doing it. So thank you very much. So I wanted to welcome Techung. We are excited and waiting for your live performances.
Well, then I just wanted to add that, preservation just doesn't necessarily mean just preservation. I just think it's we can bring alive anything, whether it's a teaching or whether ancient way of thinking. A lot of the concept, a lot of the ideas are still relevant, to this society, to today's society. I do feel, especially the sounds. I don't know, they're so naturally nature oriented, and so I just feel like I'm not preserving like preserving. I really feel like I'm reliving the thing. I'm not even, I myself is an archive or whatever, however you want to call it, but an inspiration that brings alive the spirits and those things. And yes, I have a lot to move forward, which is a little bit difficult, but this kind of world, it's very challenging. But anyway, Rinpoche, I thought maybe just singing vocal may be better than playing. I'll instrument. Yeah,
Whatever you.
a traditional song, and some of you may have heard. This is a song from Lhasa area, I think from Western Tibet, and it talks about if the mountain, is not destroyed or changed, or is it not destroyed, the animals will, surround. They will gather. And if there's no hindrance or if there's no disturbance to the ocean, means the youth, young, the fishes and animals in the water will surround her, come. And if you don't have a change in your loved parents, means love and love and caring will come automatically. Ruochimbo manju rida legi koyo, chuochimbo manju nyajun legi koyo, tinjen pama manju chamgyon legi koyos, and that's the song.
Thank you. To Chebe, I was so I think we went a lot of more time than we planned to, but it's wonderful. We enjoy very much. So thank you, Techung la, Tenzin Kunsel la, Tenzin Choegyal la, everybody's really appreciate all of you coming here, and I see beautiful comments. Everybody, as said, music is the universal, so everybody's enjoying. Thank you, Tujiche.
Also, to Chena Rinpoche.
Thank you.
It's good to see everyone.
Last Tujiche, ane chena batsamala tagai kusering ane lega khari legi na chawalam do ya huyong bi molam tai ane mutune molam
project na ngat lu ta ko thanga na meeting ngata.
This is for the
mute redo.
Nga mute me.
Oh, they mute me. Oh, that's thank you. Yeah, dream, tanda dream re, dream thing. Only chance na ni inda.
Yeah.
I think this is audition. This is the Tenzin Kunsel and Techung audition for your Thanga project.
That's what I'm saying. Sangha Tamalia Tushana and it Linget getting cheso and it's Choegyal Yang Jebe Melam Shui.
That's it.
That's all.